So when you are saying tokens, they have a strong base, do you just look at the chart or do you consider, trading volumes, TVL, community, use cases, adoption? What are your metrics to say, this is a coin that I believe has got a future?
I think you should have the 4 pillars. Have a little gold and silver. God forbid some electronic thing goes down and you really want to have the silver asset. Fine. The physical asset. Have some real estate so you can bring in cash flow. Everyone should have a rent coming in, like $3 to $5 grand a month in rent. It feels really good to know that that's coming in. Have some maybe cash flow, like cash, just some cash on the side, maybe some equity and Bitcoin.
Financial Fox is proud to partner with HIVE Digital Technology, a public listed company focused on building the next generation data center infrastructure using only renewable energy. HIVE was the first crypto miner to go public and the first one to have an AI strategy. With operations in Canada, Sweden, Iceland, and now Paraguay, HIVE is a leader in efficient Bitcoin mining with the best hash rate realization in the industry. Finally, and most importantly, HIVE cares about its shareholders. That's why its strategy is low dilution, low G&A, and focus on cash flow. If you don't know HIVE, check them out at hivedigitaltechnology.com. Even though August is not usually the most active month for investing, the crash leading into this month has created huge volatility across the markets, and investors are still very nervous. So it seems the right time to invite some price on to get his stake and see if there are any opportunities to take advantage of in equity, capital, or crypto markets. Actually, we ended up talking mainly about Bitcoin. So watch this video as it might open your eyes. Sam is a full-time trader, training educator, and the founder of Crypto Life. But before we get into the interview, a couple of things. Firstly, if you are watching our interview but you are not yet part of our community, please take a moment now to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow Financial Fox on social media. You will find the links in the description. The bigger our community grows, the bigger the Financial Fox gets, and more prominent guests I can invite to add maximum value to you, whether you are an investor, founder, or crypto enthusiast. Second, please remember that the content on the show is for informational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. Any opinion shared by me or my guests are ours alone, and you should not act solely on the back of them. As always, do your own research, level up your skills, and be accountable for your own decision. Finally, we are very excited about 2 conferences that are coming in September and October, where I will be there moderating a few panels and also meeting lots of people. So I would love to see you there if you are around. One is going to be in Barcelona, the European Blockchain Convention on the 25th and 26th of September. And there is also a small discount in case you don't have the ticket. You can get 15% off with the code in the description. The second one is going to be in October on the 25th and 26th and will be in the beautiful Swiss-Italian town of Lugano. The event is Plan B Forum, which is a Bitcoin focus event in the heart of Switzerland with some really cool people, and I will be there. So I really hope to see you there. With that being said, let's get to the interview. Fantastic, Sam. It's great to have you on the show. How are you doing?
Good. Beautiful day. Can't complain. Sunny Florida. I live in Florida, so just sunny every single day.
Fantastic. Well, I have to say, London has been, the weather has been great recently, so we can't complain as well. So it's been a while that I wanted to have you on the show because we haven't done an interview discussing trading and investing for a bit, and some people in our audience, they're obviously traders. They don't just trade crypto, obviously, but they also trade equities. So I wanted to do a show that was dedicated actually, let's say, to some ideas, some reflection, some consideration about the markets in general. And obviously you are a full-time trader. You are a trading educator. So, who better than Sam could come on the show and just share what are perhaps your thinking, your strategy, strategies, and also discuss, how the markets are going. So thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, so let's do that. Let's do a quick couple of minutes about yourself, just to kind of set the scene so everybody knows who is Sam Price is and, your background.
So my name's Sam Price. I'm 41 years old. I started looking at the markets and just dreaming about investing when I was in my early 20s. I took it pretty seriously by the time I was 25, 26. More than most people, like where I looked at the price of gold every single day. I began trading gold and silver. I was able to turn, $2,500 into like $8,000 in one of my first silver stocks. One of my really first swing trade of my life. It was like crazy. I guess I got lucky. And then, and from there, I started trading gold every single day, just the 3 times daily, Direxion daily ETFs. And that kind of got me into understanding how to watch the market. And I looked at the price of gold right when I woke up and when I went to bed, and then probably 5 or 10 times throughout the day. Like it was just always the price of gold. And I bought gold and silver, and I became like a kind of a silver bug and a gold bug, but I eventually learned that I couldn't take it with me you can take it with you, but it gets heavy. And how much can you have at one point? And it just wasn't sustainable. Luckily, I found Bitcoin, and once I realized the hash rate and the difficulty level, and I studied the history of money, I saw that they printed money to zero, and every single currency throughout time, after 100 years, that currency is going to lose at least 50 to 70% of its value. The US dollar is no different. And since the early 1900s, it's lost 97% of its purchasing power. So I realized I had to get out of the dollar. I realized gold was cumbersome, and Bitcoin made sense. And so I started accumulating Bitcoin like gold and silver. And then I kept trading markets, and then I got into day trading, and here I am. I found Ethereum when it was $9 and started researching it. I knew about Litecoin when it was $5 and was telling everyone to buy it. And then it went to 400. I've pointed out numerous 50Xs, 20Xs, and 30Xs in my life publicly that I said, hey, this is probably a good buy. And then years later, it turned out to be a pretty good move. So again, I don't win every time. I'm not perfect, but I'm just someone that's been doing it so long, so consistently, that I have found success in investing.
Yeah, fantastic. Wow, quite impressive, I have to say. Well, obviously you can't get it right all the time, also because, something that happen, you don't know that actually can happen, and markets are very unpredictable. But, when you have experience, you can kind of see the patterns, you can see the opportunity, and you have that kind of history that is also very useful. Now, Sam, you are one of the few, let's say, TradFi investor or traditional investor, they actually made the leap to Bitcoin. And you have explained all the reason why. My background is also in traditional finance, been working with different kind of public listed companies and talking to investors, they invest in stocks. They obviously might invest also in gold and silver, obviously, and talking to them, still now, the majority hasn't not made the leap to crypto, to Bitcoin, obviously. Let's not say crypto, because here we are not trying to, to promote meme coin at all, but they haven't cracked it yet. How that moment happened to you? What do you think is missing? And what do you think these people, maybe what could you say to these people to wake them up?
When I say, when someone's been really poor, they really appreciate a good meal, right? But someone that's been given a good meal their whole life, they don't really they don't really, and what I mean by that metaphor is, I grew up, pretty, middle class. Like I had what I needed, but, I saw that, we had the same car that had holes in it over time. And I noticed my parents worked really hard too for everything. And when I realized that their money was printed to zero, see, for me, it was really about history. I think these people need a history lesson, honestly. I think someone needs to sit them down and really give them a lesson on history. I don't think they know enough. I think it's their lack of knowledge. I think if you showed them all the fiat currencies that have been printed to zero and showed them that your parents, listen, my mom used to say, I used to go to the store with a nickel and a quarter and buy milk and bread. And this is something you used to say to me all the time when I was a kid. She used to love telling us this. She's like, now look, it's $5, $10, And she was basically teaching me inflation, but she didn't know, right? She was telling me that your money's going to get printed to zero. And so I took it as more like of a protection. I said, if they keep printing fiat currency to zero and every fiat currency has gone to zero, then I should at least hedge myself. You don't have to put all your money. You don't have to believe in it 100% like I do. But, it's just like owning real estate. I think you should have the 4 pillars. Have a little gold and silver. God forbid some electronic thing goes down and you really want to have the silver asset. Fine. The physical asset. Have some real estate so you can bring in cash flow. Everyone should have a rent coming in, like $3 to $5 grand a month in rent. It feels really good to know that that's coming in, Number 2, have some maybe cash flow, like cash, just some cash on the side, maybe some equities and Bitcoin. I just feel like if you don't own Bitcoin as part of the 4 pillars of your investment strategy, I think you're missing out on such an ability to hedge against all the other investments that you've been into. So I would tell people, if you don't understand it, hedge on it. If you don't understand it, learn more and get educated. And both of those things, I believe, regardless of where you stand, it's going to benefit you over time. It's scarce, and they're going to keep printing money to zero. Again, it's an 8-year-old math equation, but yes, not everyone can figure it out. I don't get why I saw it immediately. It was obvious to me within 4 months of studying it. But again, I'm a learned person of history, and history will teach you. Not many people are willing to do that long research, like the 4 to 5 years that I took to really understand money and finance. They just want to kind of brush through it and think they can get a payout.
And I think it's also a journey, it's not just learning about Bitcoin, it's doing the first investment, selling and not making any money or losing money, going through the cycle. Story or not story. So there are different aspects. And I also think that some investors, they might rely too much on advisors that, since now they're being kind of very cautious about crypto now, maybe because of the ETFs, they're kind of changing their minds. But let's get straight into some ideas, because that's why we are here and we are excited. What are you buying or selling right now?
So, not financial advice, obviously. I'm not a financial advisor, but
obviously.
I'm accumulating more Bitcoin at these prices. I use a fear and greed index. When we got pushed down to 49K, just on a dip wick there, we came back up, but we did touch 49,000. We've been in a pretty much fear state, slowly creeping out, but everyone doesn't know. Are we going to get pushed down lower? And that fear is great. I love that. I like when the market's uneasy. See, I used to be the uneasy person that would panic sell and do all the silly things, but over time, I've learned to always use that volatility and that fear. And so I'm stacking Bitcoin. I got a little Mara for the people that are in equities. I got Mara, which is a mining stock, right? They mine Bitcoin. And right now they're actually in a little dip around 16, 15. And I was accumulating around $7, $8, $9. So I like that area, that price range. There's also some other miners, Riot. If you don't want to, you're not comfortable with the Bitcoin, you're not comfortable with holding your own Bitcoin, the whole crypto thing, you can have access to MicroStrategy, right? They're eventually, I bet they're going to stock split at one point and make it even more accessible. Tesla kind of is a slight play on crypto, not completely, but a little bit. They do hold Tesla, they do hold Bitcoin. And I think they're going to announce that they're going to take Bitcoin in the next few months like that. And that might create a little, but for me, MicroStrategy, you can't really lose. He's accumulating so much Bitcoin that if you believe in Bitcoin, he's going to do well. You've even seen some companies and pensions now investing in MicroStrategy. So, you have towns. I think the New Jersey Township or something invested in crypto recently. Another town, it might be Minnesota, don't get me wrong, but a few cities now have actually taken the pension funds or the city funds and fire workers, the fire stations, and they've put the money into Bitcoin. So I think the more you see that, the more comfortable people are going to become. So I'm investing in more BTC and some altcoins right now. I like Solana, right? If you don't, a little bit below Bitcoin, and I like. Ton is one of the biggest coins. Telegram channel is everyone's using the app. I just feel like if you don't have some Ton in your portfolio, you might miss out on a nice 5 to 10x. It's a safer buy. It's even when the market tanked, it went to 4 and bounced all the way back up to $6, $5, $6, so it's ranging between $6 and $7. If you can ever get it below $6, to me, it's a screaming buy too as well. And so Solana, Ton, and I like Caspa. Caspa came out in a penny. We've been actually accumulating up until it went to 19, 20 cents. We 20x'd our money. It slipped back down to about 16. I'm not selling it. I'm still accumulating a little bit, but I got such a bigger bag at a lower price. But I do see that coin adding up. Mara actually started to mine it, which is the only other coin they mine besides Bitcoin, which should tell you something. And so those are the premier things that I'm doing. I'm just accumulating coins that I want to hold for the long term into the bull run right now that have a stronger base and are showing support on technical analysis.
So when you are saying tokens, they have a strong base, do you just look at the chart, or do you consider, for example, trading volumes, TVL, community, use cases, adoption? What are your metrics to say, this is a coin that I believe has got a future? And I do agree with you. I also like Solana, as I do invest in Bitcoin. I think Solana has proven to be very resilient. After FTX, they were in the problem and what they have done, becoming like the consumer app for crypto. I think that it's been amazing. But yeah, tell me kind of like, how do you do your analysis? What are the key factors that you look?
Yeah, I mean, I can see why your subscribers and the people that follow you love you, because you brought up some really good points. Some of them kind of couple on each other. You mentioned community, utility, use case. So a lot of times the chart that will be stronger will be a chart that has somewhat more of a use case, right? Also, I'm speculative. I look for things that I connect dots, right? Like for Ton, they have one of the biggest messengers that I've ever seen. Like I was using Telegram when everyone else was just listening to the news, and Telegram was giving you some awesome behind the scenes information that could, and it was really valuable. I found it really valuable, and I think it's a way for people to connect. So I know it has value. I know it's growing very fast, and I know they own their own kind of growing ecosystem that they can implement. And they're going to, there's a Ton wallet you can download right now, and you can already use it with the Telegram app. So that gives it just a big step ahead. So once I look at that, I'm like, wow. And then when I look at the chart and I can see the chart also, so I like to couple them both. It's very rare. If I look at the chart and the chart's strong, I then might start researching the coin. Sometimes I see a strong chart and it gets me into a project. Other times I know the project's hot and then I just do my TA and I love when they align. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. It has utility and I'm seeing that we're holding a key support. Like, and what I mean by Ton went up to $7, like way before Bitcoin dumped. And when Bitcoin dumped, Ton went back to 4 for a second, but Ton's already touched 7 and came back to 650. So of all the coins, it's the only one that really came back to where it was before Bitcoin took the dip. That tells you it has strength. I mean, who's buying? A lot of people must seem to, So when I see revisited price action to a similar area quicker than normal, I say, hey, that has strength, right? And then, like you said, when I see use case coupled with utility, I'm all over that. Like memes are fun here and there, but like they come and go, like they're, you know what I mean? You can't get upset if it doesn't hold value over time. It's not really meant to, right? So it's there for the hype and the hype alone. I'm looking for real projects that I can hold up until 2025, and and I will want to sell them. All altcoins I will sell into the bull run, but I definitely I like accumulating blue chip and strong altcoins.
So are you, beside of Bitcoin, which is kind of like more for the majority of people, more like a long-term investor, the other coins for you are more like a cycle trade in a way?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So now I've got a question, because, we see some of the winners from the previous cycle, like Polygon. What's happened there?
Polygon, to me, what happens is it's an older coin. I like Matic, right? I actually still hold some, and I wonder why, What happens, I believe, and I think it'll still go back to maybe $2 in this run, maybe a little more. But you have new narratives that create a wave of interest. And I've learned the new narratives, that's just what I've learned about crypto the most, is it's the mannequin that's dressed the best, not really the one that walks the best, right? It's like, and there's a little balance between what has utility and what could have utility. And I've seen coins that have better utility, but a project that has way more marketing and more of an idea that could do something great. Honestly, for survival, as like a really, like to be intelligent investor, I became a speculative investor. Like I'm a speculative crypto investor because it hurts to fall in love with projects. It happened to me too many times. And like Cardano, I knew it was going to be big. It was, Charles Hoskinson, I believed in it, got in at 2 cents and went to $3.31. But when it's first rallied up to $1, I thought in 2017, I had bought the beginning of Amazon, and there was no way the stock would revisit 8 cents again. And it did, and I've learned that no matter how good the tech is in crypto, because the hype and the market caps are so small, even comparatively relative to bigger, markets like Nvidia and stuff, the human emotion can get these things to such prices that you have to cycle them. You know what I mean? So I've learned now, like the only coin I really don't cycle out of is Bitcoin. And I guess I hold Ethereum because I got in around like $89. So I still hold some Ethereums that I never sold. Once I get in super early, I'll hold something for, because I'm already up. But everything else, even Ton coin that I mentioned, as good as the utility it is, it'll run up to $40-$50 or something. And then it'll come all the way back down to $8-7. So you don't want to be the one holding the bag. It's going to get hyped up. And you want to be able to move out. What I like to do is have an idea. I love real estate and I dream of cash flow. So when the market goes up, I'm taking the rents that I'm making off of cash flow and I'm putting it back into the market, right? And then when the market dumps, I'm taking out profits and looking for real estate. I might keep it on the side and wait. And you'd be surprised. A lot of times when the market starts to dump, it creates a frenzy and the real estate market follows a little bit. So it's like if you sell the top of the stock market, it almost kind of helps you buy the lower prices in real estate. And then you accumulate the rents during the bear market when no one's paying attention. Yeah. You start buying altcoins again, right? Like I've been holding some altcoins for 18 months. And then And I'm telling you, that's like, I know I haven't been like perfecting the strategy, but I have done it. I have cash flow coming in right now from a rental property, from profits that I took from the last rally. And I just plan on continuing to do that. And it's kind of my little thing. Like everyone has their thing. That's like my little way of playing the money game.
Yeah, it's so important to kind of like have a different strategy to be a successful investor. So you are speculative on something, and then you sell and you reinvest maybe in a more long-term investment, like, obviously real estate that, still now is kind of like the safest that, is going to bring you real cash flow every month.
One thing I wanted to say, just because I don't want to be looked at like a guy because I still believe in the crypto technology of the 15,000 projects, there's maybe only like a core 200 to 300 that I truly think are changing the world, and everything else is kind of a speculative idea.
Obviously, we have got Bitcoin, which so far has been considered digital gold, store of value, sound money. And then there is lots happening like Bitcoin layer 2, still very early. We are not there, to the stage where perhaps Ethereum is. But obviously, Bitcoin, is kind of leading that space. Other projects that you see are here to stay, and I've got also a question about one of them. Who are they? What is the specific niche they are excelling in?
Well, I like Caspa because they're proof of work, right? And decentralized acyclic DAG technology, meaning like they can produce multiple transactions on their own in their own proprietary blockchain, right? They're not a layer 2 on Ethereum. They can handle their own transactions, and I really like proof of work. I felt like when Ethereum got off of proof of work and went to proof of stake, I just felt like it wasn't a good idea. Again, that's just me. I guess I kind of hold on to a lot of old school values, and I'm very old school. It's another reason why I really like Bitcoin. At the end of the day, nothing is truly decentralized because the rich can buy so much of it. Like, look at how much BlackRock owns of Bitcoin, right? So like I guess you could argue but at the same time, they don't own every single node and they don't control the network, right? But they have a part of it. But like Ethereum, once you give a proof of stake, like so many people can delegate. And then if there's really like governance, like it takes away your ability to do that because you can't afford to buy as much staked Ethereum as, institutions. So, whenever we got to proof of stake, so I like proof of work. That's why I really like Caspa. I think can change the world. And I also think it's one of the few smaller coins out there that took that idea and it kind of runs with Bitcoin's idea. And that's why Bitcoin was so strong, and it's sound money. And I think you'll find Caspa might end up being here 10 years from now. I think it's a coin you really want to look at, do some heavy research on. I think it's something that people should even like dollar cost average into, similar to Bitcoin, in the long term, right? And I don't feel like that about almost any other coin besides Caspa, Kaspa.
Yeah, interesting. Go back to the crypto miners, because this is super exciting, and I think is a very interesting space that get you exposure to Bitcoin, get you exposure also to AI and all these important question and all the, the problem also about infrastructure for energy infrastructure for the AI revolution. So they have become a very interesting sector. Now, you mentioned Mara. Obviously, I know Fred, and Mara is kind of like one of the leading miners. They are the biggest, $1 billion market cap. But what I see is that the majority of these crypto miners, their balance sheet is not great. There is a lot of dilution because obviously it's very capital, it's very costly to be a crypto miner. I wanted to know why you have decided to go for Mara, if there is any kind of like rationale behind or analysis behind choosing Mara rather than, okay, you mentioned Riot, but there are also a few others minor there.
Again, like that was kind of like, I had just bought a building, in real estate, and I guess, I had started making some more money than I never thought in crypto, and I started thinking you needed to branch out, which I actually thought was, now that looking back, I learned a valuable lesson. Like when you're really good at something, just keep doing that one thing. Like the real estate investment I made was great, but I bought a building for $1 million with a buddy. So I put 500 grand down, and Bitcoin was like 20,000, right? So, I mean, I easily would have tripled that 500 grand to 1.5. But I wanted to be someone that diversified. And I kept telling people that were telling me to diversify that Bitcoin was the best thing to be in and shouldn't be anything else, right? Secondly, I got into Mara. When I bought Mara, it was like $8. It did go to 30 and at 4x when Bitcoin did the 15 to 60K, but look at Bitcoin. It's holding 59,000 and Mara's back, it's $8. So it was also a bad speculative investment move in my humble opinion. Like I I've been investing in Bitcoin for years, and I thought maybe if I did something different, I would make a different move. And I found like nothing really beats investing in Bitcoin. Like I'll have to be honest. Like, so like I got into Mara thinking it would because it was a smaller market cap, that there's no way Bitcoin, like if Bitcoin did a 10x, that Mara would do a 15. But because of the dilution, like you said, and I learned a lot about the mining companies, and that's why it's the only security that I own. So like maybe it wasn't the best play. I'm hoping that it eventually follows Bitcoin, and I'm looking to 4x my money. At the same time, whenever I buy Bitcoin, I usually don't sell it too. So, and the idea of buying Mara was I would definitely sell it, because I would sell a security and I'd put it into real estate. Like once I get Bitcoin and it goes to the hardware wallet, it's like, I don't know. It's like the odds of me selling it at that point just disappear, because I realize what I'm buying, and I'm one of those people that like Michael Saylor, like you don't sell Bitcoin. Like I just don't. It doesn't even cross my mind to sell Bitcoin. Like it just, because where would I go back into what other asset?
It's gonna be, exactly. Yeah. And also you might have to buy when it's, you don't know if you buy that is cheap.
You're gonna have to buy it back more expensive, whatever. I really believe that. I truly believe it.
Yeah, and I don't know what you think, but that was something that I was reflecting recently. Is about this 4 years crypto cycle. It used to be very top, boom, bust. Now, because of the ETFs and because, all the regulations coming into place, and do you think that 4 years crypto cycle, the Bitcoin cycle is going to soften? Is going to become less kind of like dramatic swings?
I can answer that. Like, it's like almost devil's advocate. Like one part of me says, yes, I still see diminishing returns. I mean, you're not going to go from 1,000 to 20,000 like we did in 2016, right? 15 to 2017. And then the last rally, we went from the low of 3,000 to 20,000, or to, you could say 3,000, I guess, even back up to 60K. I guess we did a 20X. I mean, but like, is Bitcoin going to 20X from the low of this cycle, which was 15,000? I don't, you know what I mean? A 10X would be 150K. 20X would be $300,000, right? I go back and forth on this, because if I looked at Bitcoin just on its cycle alone, I would say diminishing returns, but then I see them printing money at a vast rate, and then hyperinflation comes. And then what do you do when you have nation states accumulating Bitcoin? And then what happens when like really, really rich people decide like enough is enough, and they start putting in like 10% of their net worth instead of just 1 or 2? So it's like there's two scenarios in my mind where Bitcoin just stays a little more stable and gets less volatile. And there's another one where we have like some type of super Bitcoin cycle where like every single asset in the world, people just start selling for Bitcoin, and it becomes kind of like a black hole, like whether you have Bitcoin or not. At the same time, every time I overhype the cycle, it usually, we didn't hit 100K like we were supposed to last. Yeah, everyone said 100K, we hit 69,000. So Bitcoin's really hard to time and find out exactly where it's going to. That's why I always tell people to just hold it and at least have a 10 to 20, I say 20, but at least have a 10-year plan.
Can I ask, how do you store your Bitcoin? What do you use? If you can kind of like share what is your practice?
I can't disclose everything I do because it's like, security issues really. Like I wish I could tell everyone, but like you'd want to have more than one security deposit box, right? You'd want to split seed phrases into 2 different places so they're never at one place. At the end of the day, I don't know what it is, but I would be going to the shooting range and I would carry a firearm at all times. Like it's like if you want to be in Bitcoin, like you have to take your security very seriously. You know what I mean? It's like and again, if you don't want that, you can always use I Trust Capital, which is a great place where they'll park your Bitcoin and I trust them. I'm sponsored by them and they've been around for a long period of time. They're government regulated and they actually redundantly keep your Bitcoin. But I trust nobody but myself. With my Bitcoins, right? At the end of the day. But they have, self-custody. What I would like to see is bigger institutions offering custody.
Yeah. So you were in Nashville, right? I was there too. It was amazing. It was the first conference, the first Bitcoin conference where there were so many people, a variety of people. You can see that like Bitcoin is not niche anymore. It was really a mainstream conference like consensus would have been. It wasn't just a Bitcoiner. So I think that kind of vibe, it was very clear. And things are definitely changing. How did you like it?
Yeah, it was really cool too. And like me, I don't get too heavy into politics. I don't think a lot of us crypto people are. That's why we got into crypto, right? Because we were like sick of all the back and forth. But it was cool to see some people that were just like, there was diehard Trump supporters, right? And they might have come just to see Trump. And next thing you know, they find out about Bitcoin, right?
How many hours have you waited?
Oh, I didn't. I had like a press pass, so I could just.
Oh, okay, me too. But I still had to wait 2 hours to get into that because all the security. It was crazy. Anyway, carry on.
How funny is this? One of my good friends that I grew up with is a Secret Service agent, and I saw one of the main guys at the head sitting there, and I said, "Hey," and I said, "Do you know so and so?" And I didn't. I think because there's like hundreds of them. you know? And he turned around and he goes, well, I you know, he's one of my good buddies. And I was like, oh, I grew up with him. And then we shook hands. And then next thing you know, I could just like, I was like, hey.
Super. No, that day it was like 5 hours Trump. Yeah. It was a great experience. Anyway, a part of that.
Yeah, but I just like you said, because I've been to different conferences now throughout the years, and this one was definitely had an upbeat feeling, a good vibe to it. You could see a lot of people were just, you know, I don't know, the price wasn't really on everybody's mind. It was more like you could see there was a movement.
Yeah, there was a movement.
And I could definitely feel that. And I was so happy to be a part of something, you know, because I could kind of see where 10 years was going to be. It gave me an inkling of where we'll be. And I was like really excited because I was like, man, there's something really rewarding about picking an industry when not many people were in it at the beginning, fighting through all the hard times, and then getting like some accolades and rewards when like everyone really seems to care about it. And you're like, yeah, I was here from the beginning. And I don't know, I could feel that. And that was like a really, like for me, the conferences are very rewarding because I work hard 7 days a week and I'm in the charts a lot. And, you know, there's a lot of influencers. I'm just an influencer because I do the charting. Like I work my butt off. I really do. The only reason you know me or anyone knows me is because I work so hard. And to be able to go to a new city and just go out to dinner and meet all these people, and I'm free for those few days. I still do my job, but I'm free to talk and meet. And it's really like a reward of all the hard work throughout the year. I absolutely love going to Nashville. It was awesome.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was such a great experience. I completely agree with you. Okay, listen, Sam, thank you so much for coming on the show and, you know, sharing your experience, sharing, you know, different kind of insights and your views. I think it was amazing. So anybody that obviously is interested in crypto, interested in trading, follow Sam because he put out such amazing content. I follow you on Twitter, but you know, I'm sure that you using also other social media?
Yeah, I mean, just YouTube, at Crypto Lifer on YouTube and at Crypto Lifer 33 on Twitter. I do have Instagram and other things like that, but I don't use it as much as I use Twitter and YouTube. Just always on Twitter and YouTube.
We will drop all the links in the description. So thank you so much for coming on the show, Sam.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. May God bless you.